Hello, everybody, and happy Friday to all of you out there. It is January 9th, a cold January 9th if you're in some parts of the United States or anywhere in the world. Welcome to My Community Manager, the community built by, for, and managed by community managers. Super excited for today's panel. It's one of our favorites, and it is the open mic. So this is a chance. You see the line of rock stars that are underneath me right now. We have a ton of knowledge on the panel, so this is really all you guys. We're just going to be bouncing questions off. Big shout out to Twitter, everybody over in the CMGR Hangout over there, so make sure you guys are firing away questions. You know, this is an open mic. Just wanted to give a quick little bit, though. Most of the weeks we do have specific panels built around questions and different themes. So if you want to be a part of any of those, or if you want to submit one of your own ideas, we don't do open mic every single week, so just go to mycmgr.com. There's a little button that says participate. Make sure to click on that and submit your ideas. But I don't want to talk anymore. We have a ton of panelists, want to get to everybody, so let's go ahead with intros, starting with Tim. How are you doing, Tim?
I am wonderful, thank you, Dom. It's great to be back in the Hangout every Friday. I'm Tim McDonald. I actually founded this whole little thing. I was just thinking, it's 3.5 years ago I founded it, and about almost 3 years, I think, that Hangouts have been going on every single Friday. So pretty exciting, and now I am with Be the Change Revolutions, and I am the purveyor of purpose and get to work with a wonderful account like No Kid Hungry, where we end childhood hunger here in America.
Awesome, fantastic.
Okay, and I am Terry, and I am the Social Media and Community Coordinator with ICUC. We're a company that manages social media for brands, and I also work with the corporate social responsibility for the company. And happy to be here.
Hey everyone, I am Sherry. I usually co-produce this chat with Brew, but he's not here today. And I also lead community and user experience at a company called Rebellion Media.
Hi guys, I'm Sarah Nagel, and I'm a social marketing specialist at Sprout Social. I basically interact with our social media and community managers in our community, as well as around the web, and just kind of introduce them to Sprout as a product to manage their social media. And I also run Sprout Chat every Wednesday at 2 p.m., so we'd love to see you there too.
Hey everyone, happy Friday, happy 2015. My name is Rachel Miller. I'm Chief Listener at Pipeliner CRM, where I lead all of their digital and community communications, and I also co-host Social Business Hour with Brian Fanzo, Mondays at 1 p.m. Pacific.
And Marissa, how are you doing today?
I hit the wrong button. Sorry, guys. It must be Friday. Hi, everyone. I'm Marissa Ferratu. I'm the Digital Marketing Specialist at Zoom. We are a social media engagement platform. This is my second time during the Hangout, so I'm really excited to be with you guys and to be a part of Open Mic Night. I'm not really good at open mic, but this will be a challenge, so we're excited.
Well, hey, y'all. My name is Brian Davis. I am the Director of Social Media Marketing for CPXI and Consume Media. We're a private blog network, and we own several content websites, but very excited to be joining, as I was saying, longtime lurker for this particular discussion, but happy to participate today. And as I said earlier, I am very glad that I did my hair because I did not realize I was going to be on camera. So, and happy National Apricot Day.
All right. Hey, Brian, your hair is really great. So, I'm the only guy from across the ocean. I'm a community manager for Typo3 CMS, an open source content management system. And today I also set the first steps into my own community services agency. So, that's going to rock. Really great to be here since a couple of months again.
Awesome. Sweet. This is fantastic to have all of these people on this panel. I'm really, really excited for it. So let's, oh, by the way, I'm Dom. I am the co-founder of the Gathering app, chief social officer there. I am here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where apparently it was colder than Mars yesterday. So that's something fun. I know there's some other people from Canada and other places that were that chilly as well. But what I'd like to do here is actually jump right in to a question that we have. Let's see, doing the screen share business. Let's see if my computer wants to work along with me. All right, so we've got a question from Radez. What would you like to see in an online tool which helps with social media, which you have not seen before? So what do you guys think about that?
Phew. It's really difficult to think about something that you haven't seen before, right?
I think like we're all on a video hangout right now. For me, I would love to see video integrated with the social media tool natively. So we're not necessarily having to switch between whatever your platform of choice is. Mine is Hootsuite, and also Google Hangout. If there's some way to kind of integrate those, I think that would be super fun and probably something that will happen in the next couple of years.
I'll go. I would like to see a conversion tool where you can actually measure conversions a little bit better without having to integrate with like an API of some sort. So I think having a conversion right in front of you, if that's even possible, that would be an ideal dream of mine, to be able to measure that conversion right away.
They actually used to have that. We got rid of it. It was Argyle Social did that. But I think one of the biggest things I think that and I'm kind of hearing it in bits and pieces from everybody else, it's like, you know, every platform is specific, and we don't have any one way to kind of capture all that in one place effectively when you're talking about engagement, posting, metrics, you know, everything else. It's like, I think the dream thing would be we could just open up one screen, have everything we need in one place. And I think I'm probably dreaming when I say that that's what we wish for.
I know on our side that we use a variety of tools to put a lot of different analytics and analysis together, very happily so using Sprout Social as part of that suite of tools, especially for engagement and just audience participation. But that is I think for us, one of the big things that we're looking for in a tool right now that's hot is predictive analytics to help us with content and trend identification. If we could find something that would just tell me, hey, by the way, this is buzzing, without me having to go to a BuzzSumo or having to do a Topsy search or using Radian6. It's a lot of different tools that we put together to do that, but my goodness, to have something like that with trend identification would be awesome. But we're putting it all together, making it work for now.
Speaking as someone who works for a tool, Sprout Social, like Brian just said that he uses, it is hard sometimes to be able to add all these different features. I think that sometimes as community managers or social media managers, we look for everything and we kind of move faster than we're able to add those features and that functionality in the product. That said, we do always listen to our community and provide our product team with real feedback on what people like and dislike about the product. So, I mean, it's exciting working here. I love being part of a tool that all of you guys are listening and using and testing.
And I think one of the important things when it comes to thinking about those tools as well is that we do sort of live in this culture where it's like, what's the, you know, we fall prey to it. It's like, what's the cool new tool? What's this new feature? What's this thing that this can do better than this other thing? And I mean, a hammer's a hammer, and it's going to work really well if you take the time to learn how to use it correctly. So when it comes to things like that, I know that Sprout, you know, you guys have people that reach out, like Hootsuite does, like other places do, where it's like, hey, let me just get some of your time and sort of walk you through some of this. Let me, you know, let's have a conversation. What are your goals? Let's try to figure out how this is going to work for you. And I think that that's the important thing too when you think about tools, is that ability to, you know, take the time to learn how to do it well instead of just doing it half-assed because it's quicker and faster.
Some tools too, like a lot of the features within Sprout, a lot of people don't know about. I actually used Sprout before coming here, and there were a number of things that I was unaware of or I wasn't using to the fullest potential. So sometimes I think it really is about the education too. So we've actually started to do these user group meetups just in large cities across the globe. Actually, we did one in London, Stanford, New York, and here in Chicago. And it's really just about, showing our customers how to effectively use the tool, the way that it's meant to be used, and then also getting that feedback too when we're there in person, which is, second to none to have that feedback in real life too.
Agree. Totally got you there. So we have another question here. Let's check this bad boy out. This right here is from Gareth. Great question. Let's file down the panel. I want everybody to get in on this one. Where do you dream of traveling to? Where do you guys dream of traveling to?
Thailand.
Spain.
Nepal.
I want to go back to Italy. Once you go to Italy, you never want to come home. So I want to go back.
I want to go to Ireland where my relatives are.
Actually, I'm with you, Tim. I'd like to go to Thailand as well. But I'm actually heading to Alaska this June, which I'm really pumped about.
Oh boy, well I know that I want to go to Italy. Unfortunately, I'll have a chance to do that during my honeymoon in a couple of months, so I'm very excited about that.
This is a chance for everyone to let out a collective aw, so go ahead and do that. Awesome. Cool. Good stuff. Sherry, where did you say? Did you say somewhere?
I did, but I have to double mute myself and double unmute myself, and I only unmuted one microphone. So what I said was Australia.
Australia. Awesome. That's actually on my list too. I want to go surfing in Australia, and go put another shrimp on the barbie. There we go. That's my horrible Australian impression for the day. And Marissa, I think you had a question that you wanted to ask the panel.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as we kick off 2015 and we look at all of the lessons learned from 2014 moving into 2015, what do you think the biggest trends are going to be for 2015, and how are you going to capitalize on those trends? I'd love to hear what everyone has to say.
I was actually asked this question and answered it for a post that went up a couple weeks ago, and I said that we're going to start seeing a move away from broadcasting and more into engagement, because I think more and more brands are starting to realize that social media is about being social, it's about building relationships, and it's about people to people. It's not about just a platform that you put a message up on.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I've also seen in the stuff that I'm doing, and one of the things that I see is that we in some way also have to find a way that people get more engaged, or to see it as a part of their job. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I see great results there. And I also see, that for a lot of people it's still very difficult to see social media just as a social conversation. So they see it as a kind of software which you should be able to see through, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say engagement as well. We're a B2B company, so it's been a little harder to do that. But since I manage our social media pages, I'm trying to do more listening and pop in where I can. And also, I was on listening to Social Hangout this morning with Ted Rubin, and he was talking about that same thing, how you just purposely and intentionally engage with people, even if it's just like pick 5 a day that are following you. So I think that's a big thing.
To jump in with the engagement, I think obviously engagement's going to be huge, but I think understanding who your biggest engagers are, right? So, Terry, you mentioned picking the top 5, but you need to know who those top influencers are. So if you pick your top 5 influencers by using like the Z-point algorithm, you'll be able to tell these are top 5 effective influencers, and these are who I want to engage with. So definitely engagement. I would agree with all of you on that.
And I think the types of engagement too, I know that was sort of said already, but I think that video is really going to be a very big part of 2015. You see different platforms, people using it very, very easily. You know, Google Hangouts, things like that. Platforms like Movi have really been popping quite a bit lately, and I think that there's going to be a lot more of that sort of video integration, which I think, you know, it's just getting easier, and people are becoming more used to it. There's not as much camera shyness, I think, and so people are, it's just becoming another thing that they're doing, and that's really, I just imagine like a help desk that's just going to be able to do a quick little back and forth 15-second videos just to sort of explain it instead of having to type out an email. I think that that's going to go a really long way.
Dom, just to jump on what you've said, because we actually were just talking about this earlier this morning with my team. We started doing kind of like more video integration with our social, and we have found, obviously, you know, engagement is so much better when you have video, and I know Facebook is going to be focusing a lot more on that engagement and how much reach you actually have with video. So what we've actually started doing is just like 30-second pro tip videos. I mean, we literally take the iPhone out and take a selfie, you know, we're taking videos, and we're seeing so much more engagement, and I think you are so right on that. Like, people will, our attention spans are so much shorter than by having, you know, a 10-page tutorial, and I think video is going to be huge.
I think to that point too, making those interactions more personal too, is really important. You know, not just sending out like generic swag to people, but actually writing a handwritten letter. You're doing a little bit of research on the person and connecting with them on a real level for something that they're really interested in. I think that you know, building like a personal relationship with your audience will go so much farther than the brand to customer relationship.
And I think even in that, like, I think about these quick little videos that people are doing. It sort of is good that it's taking the production value down a little bit. You know what I mean? Because it makes it seem more authentic. It's more raw that way. Is that, you know, if I just have a video of somebody just chilling on a couch, you know, like, it doesn't matter to me that it's not produced very quality and it's in HD. It's like, I can see it, they're responding to me, they're getting back to me quick, and we're on the same playing field. And that's the type of thing that I think is really going to get even bigger in 2015. Okay, we got another question here. Let's see here. This is from Aaron Franklin. Big shout out to Aaron. I'm actually wearing his bow tie today. Full disclosure, this is my roommate. He said, the question for the panel, social media seems better suited to attract repeat business. What processes do you use for attracting new customers with social media? So what do you guys think about that?
I'll jump in. I think one thing that we're finding, which is kind of a good practice, is like having really good call to actions in your posts on Facebook, or, you know, if you're doing like an ebook download, and making sure when you're doing things of that nature that you're having sign-up forms, because at that point you're able to generate really interested prospects, which then become not only customers but hopefully fans of your brand online, and they can engage with you via social.
Well, I think an important thing here is I've always viewed social as the best tool for finding new customers. And I hate using the word customer, because I think social is so much more than just customers. I think they're community members and audience members and potential customers and customers. So it doesn't have to be just a customer. But, you know, we have always use social more for listening and finding those new people to bring into the community, as opposed to just engaging with the existing people that are already buying from you. And so it's harder, it takes more time, but it's the best way to do it if you do it. So it's not a matter of it being easy or you can only do one or the other. It's just a matter of taking the time and doing it the right way, and remembering that you're not just broadcasting, you're not just selling to that person, you're actually building a relationship that's going to take time for them to become a customer.
I agree. We do the same thing. We're on HubSpot, and we listen to several different hashtags that have to do with our industry. And if we see somebody asking a question, or maybe just posting a link to somebody else's article, then we will pop in and start conversing with them. So that's a good practice.
I know for me personally, I use existing customers as a way of identifying new customers. So I look at who they're talking to, what they're talking about, and potentially, does their circle of friends is your customers as well.
Just to dig in a little bit more there, Rachel, because I know that there's a lot of businesses that want to be able to do that a little bit better. What are some of the ways that you really, like with your communities, really hone in and find those customers, community members that really are going to be more advocates for you? Like, how do you really, like, sort of pick those people out?
From an influencer standpoint, or just potential customers?
Both and. We got 40 minutes left.
Oh, it's a Rachel show. Well, for customers, that was kind of a simple way of putting it, but usually, like-minded people talk to each other. So if you have one customer and you can use, whether you're just following a hashtag or the conversations manually through Hootsuite, you can use something like Twitterland, which makes it a little bit easier to identify the important conversations that people are having. And then I just start watching and I chime in when the time is right. And then again, it's kind of the same for influencers as well. You monitor the conversations they're having, who's participating, are they reacting, who's reacting to what they're saying, and then you start a dialogue.
I think another good thing is also when you're listening to understand what people are talking about in certain communities, right? So we're talking about like a location-based search. So if you're using like a Zoom platform and looking at the analytics and you're understanding, we're in DC, right? So if DC is talking about a certain topic and that really hones in on our customer base, on our community, that's going to be different than maybe what New York City's talking about, or Du Bois, Pennsylvania, where I'm from, so a tiny little town in PA, right? So I think understanding, not only listening and hearing what people are saying, but why they're saying it, what's their time zone, where are they based, and why is that important to them, will help you with your engagement.
Real quick question, just kind of for the group, how important is data collection in that part of the process? Because we talk a lot about, I think, and I hear this from colleagues in the industry, about this organic feel for engagement. And I'm just curious, how are y'all integrating data as part of that interaction basis, where not only just looking at what's coming in the feed, but trying to identify influencers with whom you should be engaging ahead of time?
Well, I think being a community manager, there is a lot of situational knowledge that you rely heavily on when communicating with prospects or influencers. But there are tools that I use personally to collate conversations. So you can kind of at a glance look at what that person has said recently or over the last 90 days to kind of get a bigger feel for their sentiment around you and your brand. So data does play a role, but I think it's your intuition and situational knowledge, I think, is heavily weighted.
Yeah, and I was going to say, a lot of our community managers use, I'll call it data, but we just call it research, right? It's like you see somebody pop up in the stream, you see what their bio says. If they got a link in there, you go follow the link, and all this is happening in real time in matters of seconds, which is going to give you so much more valuable information than any one number or any one piece of pre-populated, analytic data that you come in. And so it's all a matter of, that's what good community managers do, is they identify the potential, they look for hidden clues, they do the research, and they react accordingly with the right people, or don't react if that's the right course of action to take.
You're welcome, Tim, that I fed you that question.
Yeah, I think it's a good point what Tim is raising. Personally, so I come from an open source community background. We don't work a lot with data, but one of the things that is in my mind all the time is what I try to do is to show a lot of appreciation to the guys or to the individuals, like Tim says. Just check out these guys, that are coming through your timeline, and show some appreciation. I found, that I get a lot of engagement from that. People see you as a trustworthy person, and they contact you. They want your opinion, and this, for me, gets a lively community going. But then again, it's a little different, because for me, it's not really from a business point of view. Although, of course, it's interesting what Tim says. We I'm not talking about customers. I'm only talking about community engagement. And for me, one of the most important things is working with appreciation. So I think that's a very important point in the stuff that we're doing.
Working with appreciation. That's completely tweetable. I hope somebody gets that out there. So, let's see. Going to bring in another question. This is a good one. I know we have a couple of answers probably set up for this, but what would you say is the best platform for one to find part-time and remote CMGR work out there?
I've been waiting for this one.
All right, fire away, Tim.
Cloud Peeps is a great new platform where it's exclusively remote workers, contract workers, independent contractors. You have to be vetted to join as a community manager, and they match you up with clients where you can pitch your work to. I do not work for them. I am not paid by them, but I am a member of their advisory group, and it has just been phenomenal to see their growth.
Yeah, I signed up for Cloud Peeps a couple of weeks ago. Sherry actually got me turned on to them, and it's a really, really cool website, and it really gives you a chance as a community manager to find a project that is something that you're passionate about. You know, like there's stuff everywhere from mom blogs to baby blogs to coders to bike shops to food Instagrams to doctors' offices. It's all across the board. There's a lot of work out there, and need some passionate people behind the social. So,
has anyone here or on Twitter actually pitched any of those companies yet? I'd just be curious. No?
I pitched the Great Baby Romp, but I don't think I was the right person for that one. for multiple reasons. You know, the fact that I'm a male without a child. So, you know, maybe next time.
I actually used to do some remote freelance work for a restaurant here in Chicago, actually, and I just did some research on their social media presence on their website. Thought could use some work, and I actually just emailed the owner, got in touch with him, worked a couple hours a week, and met with him on a monthly basis, and did work that way. I think sometimes you just kind of have to approach a small business owner if that's something you're really interested in and passionate about, and you have the experience to back it up. I think that a lot of people are open to that nowadays too.
I can say that I worked with a startup agency when I made the full-time shift over to doing social media, and I was working remotely actually here in New Orleans with restaurants that were in Dallas, and what I was able to do was to work with certain folks even on Craigslist, where I would hire photographers remotely from here to take pictures of restaurants there and then do the community management from here. Now, there is something to say about having boots on the ground where you are a small business and having the ability to interact with somebody. Craigslist, I think, is hit or miss in some ways, and Cloud Peeps sounds awesome and much better than trying to vet somebody that may, in fact, be crazy. But fortunately, I didn't have any issues there. But yeah, no, I would say that I was working with about 20 restaurants, and it's very, very easy to do. I think once you have the right setup and have the right tools at your disposal as well, that's a big part of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are pretty crazy on Craigslist. I got a roommate from Craigslist once. She was quite interesting, but not crazy because she also is co-founding the startup that I'm doing right now. So it ended up being an okay thing off of Craigslist. But let's pull in another question here. This one right here is from our good friend Carmela, who joins every so often. Let me actually pull up this screen. Here's a fun one for the group. What would your social media superhero name be? What would it be? I know, Tim, you've got Purveyor of Purpose, which sounds very Marvel, but what do you guys think?
I actually have a nickname here at Sprout, and it's Sweetheart of Social. If they really knew me, I don't think that would be my nickname.
Adorable.
We all have cute little names, so I guess that would be mine.
I have one, if you can see my Twitter handle. It's Muffin Mouse, and that has been my superhero name since I was very little. I think what kind of comes from it is, mice are small and But, you know, Muffin Mouse is supposed to be a very powerful superhero name that even though I'm small, I'm mighty type of thing. And I like muffins. So that's kind of like my superhero name, I guess.
Keyboard cat.
It's really hard to come up with names. I was going to come up with like Twitter Tamer, and then I thought, no, you know what? I'm known as a grandma on social media, and on Disney there's this silly little thing that my granddaughter watches, and it's Nina Needs to Go, and her Nana comes and helps her, and he calls her Super Nana, so I'm Super Nana.
And I'm Social Media Zilla.
Oh, this is awesome. Marvel better be paying attention right now, because I think each one of these could have a great story arc. We could work it in with some movies. Social Media Zilla can come in, you know, save the day, Super Nana. I would probably call myself Captain Google if that was a thing, because, you know, I don't really know anything, but I just know how to get there faster than everybody else. So I'll call myself Captain Google. Let's see here. One question, I can't find the tweet, but I know that it was out there. You know, a lot of times we're looking forward through 2015 since we're only 9 days into it. What are some of the conferences or events that you guys are really looking forward to going to this year?
I'm starting. Am I on? Yeah. I'm organizing the Community Leadership Summit in Amsterdam on October 24th and 25th before OSCON. Yeah. So I just started organizing that yesterday. So there's a Community Leadership Summit in Portland always at together with OSCON. And I'm really looking forward to that. I did a very small Community Leadership Summit in Berlin. So that was not, I mean, there were too many geeks there, so we didn't really have any community leaders. But I'm totally looking forward to do a Community Leadership Summit Europe. I'll post some link to that later. So I'm really looking forward to that. So for me, that's
let me know, Ben, because I made some contacts over in the Netherlands, so I'm sure I would love to try and help you with that.
You will be the first. So who else?
I'm actually, we've been talking with Launch, and we're going to be participating in the Launch startup end of February into March. You know, being a startup, you know, you have that type of environment, and it's going to be incredible. Like, it's going to be this huge collaboration with a hackathon and with our crazy developers and designers, and I think it's going to be a super eye-opening experience, and we're all very excited just to collaborate with all the other startups that are out there and just meet people. They've had some really great keynote speakers, you know, like whether you love them or hate them, Mark Cuban, you know, is known for going to this event, so it's really exciting for me to be a part of it.
I'm excited about the new social tools event that Neil Schaefer is putting on. I think it's in May of this year, so I think that's going to be really cool. There isn't really an event out there that I'm aware of that is specific to the tools that we use. Excuse me. So that's exciting.
And I could probably list about 20 different events, but I would say Social Media Marketing World out in San Diego is a great one, not community manager centric, but definitely social media focused, and anything from independents, small businesses, all the way up to large corporations and how they use social. So a lot of community managers will be there, and a great networking in addition to the different events you can see. I have not been, but I've always heard Social Fresh is a great event to go to. And then community focused events, there's CMX Summit, which is in different cities, mainly San Francisco and New York right now, but I know they're looking to expand. And there's also the Fever Bee Sprint, which had an event in San Francisco, and they just announced one in London coming up in later this month, is it? Or I forget when it is, but you can look up the Sprint Conference, and that's a community-centric event too.
And I'll go ahead and throw this out there too. Coming up just a couple of weeks from now is a great event that everybody can take part in called Community Manager Appreciation Day. So that's happening all over the world for a full 24 hours, and you don't have to fly anywhere. You don't have to worry about that awkward moment at the dance floor after the open bar, yada, 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 all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a great time. So for that, you can go to cmad.co and that's a great thing for you guys to check out there. Anybody else have any
And
events?
just a few days before CMAD, there's a meetup in Chicago with a bunch of awesome people, I heard.
There is. It's going to be fantastic. Sherry, myself, Brew, Sarah, Daryl, Cedar. There's going to be a ton of people there. So
yeah, let us know if you need the link. We would love to see all of you if you can make it here to Chicago. Hopefully it won't have a negative 20-degree wind chill that day, but it might. So.
Yeah, but you know what? The power of friendship will warm our hearts, so we don't have to worry about the wind chill.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Let's get done with the corny and move on to another question that's hopefully going to bring some value to some people from our good friend Kristen, who is a little chilly down in Texas, but not nearly as bad as here. What, if anything, this is a great question, by the way, Kristen, what, if anything, will change in the CMGR's role this year? What do you guys think?
I think content distribution is going to change, and what I mean by that is we've all been kind of climbing up this hill, right, for years to get everyone to understand the power of content marketing. And now all of a sudden everyone's jumping on the bandwagon, and so we're dealing with not necessarily content overload, but content density, where there's so much coming in, it's hard to get to be noticed. And I think one thing that community managers are going to have to deal with is figuring out how best to get noticed. And I think this has a lot to do with what we're talking about in regards to listening to your community, knowing who your influencers are, and finding those right channels. You know, some of us may be big advocates for Facebook, but if you're on average seeing 2,000 posts a day on Facebook, your post might not get seen, right? So you have to find out where that audience is located and figure out the best way to get that content out there, because it's going to change, and we're going to see a shift, and we need to adjust quickly, or else our stuff is going to get lost.
And I was going to say, I think the biggest change in the role of community managers for this year is going to be they're actually going to be more defined. The roles are going to be more defined because people are finally starting to understand what those roles are, instead of just taking the community manager title and slapping it on a other job description that somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about came up with. So I think it's going to be a much more defined expectation of what you're expected to do.
That's a really great point, Tim. And even in my short sort of time within this realm of community management, I've seen the shift in that, and it had become more defined in, you know, the type of people that were talking about it before. So, anybody else have anything they want to jump in?
Yeah, I got a question about that. How do you what direction is the definition going? So in general.
Oh, I didn't say that was getting cleared up, Ben. I just.
Oh God.
That's very different from what I said. I don't think it is going in one direction. I think it's still going to be as varied as the industries and the type of organizations that are using the position. So, which is a great thing. I think it's a lot of opportunity for a lot of different people. But yeah, I just think that each one knows a little bit more about what they're looking for, not that it's all coming together in one place.
All right.
All right, so you heard it here from Tim first, folks. There's no Harry Styles. This isn't one direction. It's going multiple different places. All right, let's bring in another question here. Radez has been doing a killer job sending in questions. Make sure you guys keep on sending in questions. We've got about 20 minutes left. Going to have time to fire through a couple of these. What are some of the challenges you guys face in your everyday work? So if you have actual examples, that would be great. What are some of the challenges you guys face?
I'd like to start off with that. I think one of the challenges that I always face is the metrics kind of situation. And we discussed metrics a couple of times in this talk, and metrics we discuss in many conversations. I find it sometimes pretty difficult, you know, to show the value. So where are the numbers? You know. How can you measure your community is happy, is healthy? These for me is always difficult. I know, you know, if I look at my community, then I know, okay, there's this 90%. Everyone says, oh, awesome. And then there's this 10%, which I find very hard to convince, you know, about community management as such. that's my challenge.
And just to echo Ben's thoughts, I mean, it is, determining the value of those metrics and like what they exactly mean. But I mean, for us here at Sprout, we actually just set up some big goals for 2015 that we want to achieve, and it's just determining what kind of objectives and tactics will lead to those goals. So they're very qualitative goals. So they're qualitative. So they're basically just like, elevate the brand and, make people more aware of us. Dimensionalize the business is another one of them. So it's just really kind of coming up with what is going to get us there. Is it running so many Twitter chats this year, or like the number of participants that we're getting, or the growth of that? I guess it's just kind of like taking all of these different things and making sure that you are keeping on, being successful and elevating your brand. And I don't think, I mean, it's hard to say exactly what that is, because that means something different for our CEO than it means for us. But I think being in the trenches, we kind of have to set those standards and put our foot down with exactly what that means and defining it, and then just like benchmarking those numbers for ourselves and beating ourselves each month or each quarter.
I agree with you, Sarah, like 100%. And I think another thing, at least for me, I think a big challenge is not only meeting those goals and meeting those metrics, but also I think teamwork is a big challenge in anybody's day-to-day life when you're a community manager. And I think for me, it's for the whole team. Like we've been planning for 2015 and really getting our marketing strategies in place. And a big thing for us is that teamwork. And every day, like you can have these amazing ideas, but staying focused on what the team wants and needs to accomplish needs to be number one priority before you, I guess, go rogue and go do your own thing, right? So teamwork is a big thing for us.
I'm going to say for me, because I'm the main voice behind our B2B social media channels, would be finding ways to get people to respond when I do interact with them. I don't know if it's because we're B2B, that's my big challenge, getting people to respond back. So figuring out what works.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Terry, how do you try different things to try to get people to respond? Do you tweak the language, or different times a day, or different networks, different social networks? You're muted.
First, I turned my camera off, yeah, I've different different platforms. Yes, different times of day. Sometimes we try different types of content, questions, throwing images in there. I'm always looking for some other way, but it just seems, compared to a B2C business, a B2B is so much harder to get that connection that I'm still trying to figure out the way or the best way to get anything. So if anybody has an answer to that, I'd love to hear it.
I mean, I think I kind of face the same thing, just in kind of seeking out different people who could potentially use Sprout or benefit from it. And I think we've tried to take different approaches, like inviting them to a Twitter chat, or just inviting them to get to know our community a little bit better. And I think sometimes seeing other people in the community or other people who are using your product or service can really help too. That's actually another one of our big goals for 2015, is getting our community to interact and talk to each other. I actually attended a couple of the CMX events that Tim had mentioned earlier last year, and that was one of the big things they had always talked about, and I'm really excited to see how that works with our community and with our prospects as well this year.
Yeah, and I was going to say, because you have the advantage of having a Twitter chat, I go in as ICUC on Twitter, but with our company policy, I'm not really allowed to say that it's me who's doing it, so I can't make it personal the way I want to. So I think, like with you, I know with Buffer, Hootsuite, they can all say who's tweeting, and that really makes a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I've found a lot of success using my Sprout Sarah Twitter handle. A handful of us have a Sprout and then first name handle here, and I mean, obviously it's part of my job, but I think if I didn't have that, I think my trajectory on Twitter would have gone a different way for sure.
Well, here's a good question then. Sort of going off of that. When it comes to like sort of working your own stuff and some of like the personal branding type things, how do you really find to keep that trajectory on Twitter with all these different chats and all your different thoughts that you have? How do you really find to keep that on goal at the same time representing your company in the right way? Like, what do you guys think about that from that angle?
I honestly think when I started, I call it a co-branded Twitter handle. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but I think when I started, I was a little bit more buttoned up, a little bit more professional. But as I've gone, it's gotten a little bit more personal. But that's just because that's kind of the way that the people I interact with have kind of like pushed it. I think people, you know, no matter who you are on Twitter, if they want to interact with people, obviously. And I think the more of your personality you can show, the better. You know, I still do have a different Twitter handle that I had set up before, and it was always kind of like a challenge to think like which one I would delete or which one I would use when I was here. But I mean, I log into my Sprout Sarah more often than not because like that's where like my friends. I feel like I have like all these friends on Twitter, and you know they've all been made just through work and through my role here at Sprout. So I think at some point I'll delete my personal Twitter, which sounds kind of weird, but I mean, I think our company is very casual and very young and still very open to seeing, you know, what we can do here. So that's why I've been able to cultivate such like a personal and representative of Sprout handle on Twitter.
Yeah, I think you got to keep your personality, your brand personality in mind, right? Here at Zoom, we play hard, but we work even harder, but we have a really awesome, fun personality. So you have to keep that in mind when you're engaging, and as long as you're in that same direction and you keep that in mind with your personal and as well as your branded Twitter handle, that's going to be the important part. I know certain things that kind of are more Zoom-like, so you stick with that, but just keep in mind those branding guidelines. Everybody has branding guidelines. Everybody knows if you're more of a button-up type of company or you're more laid back, like Sarah was saying. So keep that always in the back of your mind, no matter what you're doing, whether it's a Twitter chat or you're just, you know, scheduling your tweets. That if you keep that in the forefront of your mind, you'll be fine.
But I also think it's very important to realize, I mean, we're talking two different things, right? We're talking about our personal accounts that we're speaking our personal voice from, and then if you happen to be managing the brand's account, that has a totally different voice than what yours is, and you need to keep them separate. And if you're doing your job, you know which voice you're using on which one, and you keep those very defined. Now, individually, I have a very merged voice that talks about what my passions are, which happens to be what I work in, so it all kind of sounds like just me, which is what social is supposed to be. And if you can't do that, then you probably shouldn't be talking about your work on your personal social account.
That's a fantastic point, Tim. Let's see here. Got another quick question for Aaron, and in true open mic fashion, this is a hard left from what we were just talking about, but which new Internet of Things tech innovation are you most excited for? So whether it's a wearable or like a Nest or something like that, what are you guys excited for in that Internet of Things realm?
I am most excited about keeping the post office in business in 2015. Mailing letters.
I think I kind of agree. I'm totally not into those wearable things, although I really love using technique, and I'm totally in the content management business. I really like the latest trends, but for instance, things like using Google Fit or something, I get it on my Android, but that's not something I want to use. So I kind of agree with Tim, although I'm not for sending letters, but I'm not getting into. So maybe the question is a little bit reversed. Eh? What don't you want to get into?
I don't have a lot of wearable stuff either. A Fitbit's about it, but I do like they came out with this new selfie stick, and I like to take movie videos, and that would be the best thing to like hold your cell phone out there far enough away, and you could like pan behind you and everything. I think that would be fantastic.
I don't know if I'll be mailing more letters, but I'm definitely getting on the video craze. So for the holidays, I used vSnap, and I sent friends and family little short videos, which was a lot of fun. So I think I'll be doing a lot more of that, especially in regards to community management, just getting maybe not real-time eyeballs, but definitely getting in front of people and talking more on camera is a trend that I'm embracing.
If you guys paid attention to CES at all, I definitely want that new driveless Mercedes-Benz, because I figure if I can tweet while driving, I will be that much more engaged with my community 24/7. So that's on my top things of things that I really, really want. I think probably what I'm most excited for is just seeing what all of the platforms that we're currently using, how they become innovative, right? Because I know from a Zoom standpoint, like there are so many things that we have in the pipeline for 2015. So I want to see what all of our favorite platforms come out with and how they stay innovative. I want to see Facebook become more innovative. I want to see how Instagram and Snapchat really up their ante. So there's a lot of things that I'm looking forward to. Number one is the Benz, but everything else, I want to see it just grow and become more innovative for us.
You know, I'll take one of those Mercedes-Benz that I have to drive. That's my selfless act for 2015. Like if somebody wants to give me one, I will drive it. I'll wait to tweet, but you know, that's all right. I love that idea of drivable cars, though. Like that really, really does kind of just make me really happy to think that there's going to be a lot of that stuff. I think that it'll be a lot more economically friendly, and there will be less accidents and things like that, and all that kind of stuff. So just sit back and relax. That's why I love Uber, because that's pretty cool. All right, we got another question from Carmela. We got about 7 minutes, guys, so keep on firing away questions. We have a couple more, but we can fit a few in. For those working globally, what are some of the major differences in how you manage international audiences versus domestic ones?
Step one is time zones. I think you need to know your time zone, right? I mean, for example, our team was on a call with Australia the other night at 11 o'clock at night, and they were already in the next day, right? So time zones, making sure you have people that speak, you know, different languages, that's going to be your first two things, I think. If you miss a call because you messed up the time zone, that's going to, you know, obviously affect you. So understanding time zones and understanding cultural barriers will be important. Obviously, shaking a hand in America is a little bit different than when you're overseas. So just kind of keeping in mind those etiquette things that we all know exist but may not know exactly what they are.
I think, you know, so I've been engaging with a few people from the Mombasa tech community, and that was totally interesting. But I think, you know, it doesn't make a lot of difference as long as you keep listening to what the other people are saying. So I'm not really thinking like, okay, now I have to take care that I don't do this or that. I find it totally interesting to work with people from beyond Europe, but I would say, you know, if you do this, engage, just keep an open ear, just keep the conversation open, then everything will be fine.
I think something to be aware of too is to speak to some of the recent tragedies, not in the U.S., is to just be aware of what's going on in other countries too. I mean, your brand should take whatever stance or whatever action that it feels is appropriate, but I think sometimes, like, if you're not in that country, you don't hear as much in the news about it, but it's always good to be aware of what's going on globally, especially if your audience is global.
Awesome, awesome stuff, guys. Let's see here. We got another question. So Radez, for those keeping score at home, he has just hit the hat trick. 3 questions on Community Manager Open Mic. Congratulations. Your selfie stick is in the mail. Not really, but maybe it should be. This is a really good question. What do you guys think about active listing and friendliness in general on social? And I love the second part. why is it considered an effort and selfless act? Why do you guys think?
Well, I think this connects a little bit to what I was saying previously. I think this is what community management is about anyway, right? Active listening. I'm not really sure what's meant with the selfless act. Maybe someone else wants to say something about it. I mean, the thing, maybe what you could consider if you talk about selfless act, I mean, this also ties in a little bit with appreciation. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you do, I think, as a community manager, you know, which is not really, I mean, sometimes you're not like the leader that's doing the stuff, but you just have to be happy that you made these things come true. So, and maybe that's a little bit the selfless part of it.
Okay, I'm going to take a stab at it. It's an interesting question. I think active listening is the most essential part of community management, and you can't really be a community manager without listening. And I think the trick is to be more proactive than reactive. And in regards to the selfless act, I think maybe that's just a bad turn of phrase. You do have to give without expectation when you're a community manager, and that leads to educating by example or just building a healthy community. So you can't keep asking, you definitely have to give. So perhaps that is the selfless part that the question is referring to.
Well, and I think why people might consider listening an effort is because we're never taught how to listen. We're taught how to speak, we're taught how to read, we're taught how to broadcast, we're taught how to market, you know, we're taught how to lead, but nobody teaches us how to listen. And so I think for most people, they think it's an effort because they're not used to doing it. Nobody's taught them how to do it. And if you just take the time and shut your mouth, as my mom used to tell me, or my dad used to say this actually, you got one mouth and two ears for a reason. You shut your mouth and use the thing that you have two of. And when you do that, it becomes so powerful because you start to understand what people in your community want and how you can best serve them instead of just shoveling on what they probably don't need.
Awesome. That is absolutely fantastic, Tim. And on that, I think that that's probably where we'll end. This was fantastic. One quick shout out that I want to give, we did mention Community Manager Appreciation Day. I know we have a couple of people on the panel right now that work for some of our sponsors and award sponsors. We've got some people that are on the awards committee. I just want to let you guys know that if you do go to cmad.co, there is a space there where we're doing the Community Manager Appreciation Day Awards again this year. We've got some really great awards. Some great swag is coming in from all over the country, and we're going to send this out. So if you know any community managers you want to get on there, you think somebody is really deserving, feel free to nominate them. There's a lot of really fun awards that are on there, like the LOL award. That's for funniest community manager, if you couldn't guess that. So go on there. The nominations are going to be open for about another week or so, I think. Maybe a week, week and a half. I don't know. I'm going to close them down eventually, and then we're going to vote on who's going to be the winner. So that's going to be awesome. And then all of those winners are going to be announced live during panels on Community Manager Appreciation Day. So all of those details will follow. And Sherry, what do we have on tap for next week?
It's actually not finalized yet, but if you have topics you want to talk about, let us know. Just go to mycmjr.com/participate and send them over.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks to this awesome panel, and we look forward to seeing everybody next week. Bye, guys.
Later.